I'm hopping on here to talk about a very important topic, just around, about how a lot of our daughters are presenting themselves. A lot of our daughters who are in middle school and high school are presenting themselves to the world. Now, disclaimer, I am not coming on here to shame a lot of our daughters. Actually, I'm not here to shame none of our daughters, okay? I'm here to simply just raise awareness to how our daughters are presenting themselves, when they're out in public. And do I try to pay attention? No. But, of course, realistically speaking, when we are out in public and we are just going about our daily routine, we can't help but to notice how a person in general presents themselves and carry themselves. So, but with that being said, just wanted to touch on a particular incident that I noticed while I was, was I waiting for my son to get off the school bus? I was. So earlier this week, I was waiting for my son to get off the school bus around 4:18, and I couldn't help but to notice a very beautiful young lady. She looks like she's a freshman in high school, right? I'm not going to fully describe how she looked, just out of respect for her privacy as well as respect for her parents' privacy, because I try to be mindful of the fact that boys and men are very visual. So I would definitely be careful on here, and I wouldn't want to, and of course, the way I describe how this young lady physique looked, of course, no boy or no man would know exactly who I'm talking about unless I say her name or I share a picture of her face. But I still just try to be mindful anyways, because words are very powerful and very influential, and I don't want to give off the wrong impression while I am sharing my feedback about somebody else's child. So it's just me that's just trying to be mindful. But anyway, so I was waiting for my son to get off the school bus earlier this week, one of these days, and I couldn't help but to notice a very beautiful young lady. She looked like she was a freshman in high school, and she looked, I'll say she looked very fit, very fit. And normally that's expected for, young girls around that age, 14, 15, to have a very fit physique. And so, with that being said, she has a very fit and nice body for, I'll say, she looked 14. So we're just going to say she's 14. And so the only thing it's just what she had on. So what she had on some very skin tight shorts that look like you would practice dance moves in a rehearsal, venue, or to work out in, with a spaghetti strap tank top. Now, some people may think it's nothing wrong with that. It's the summertime, it's hot. Of course. I'm not saying that she should cover herself from head to toe, because it has been feeling like it's over 100 degrees out here in this city. So I get it. And anybody that is from down south or that has lived in down south for a long period of time know that the heat can take a toll on you down south. So I say this to say that even though, yes, it's hot outside, still in all, we as parents, we have to be careful when we allow our daughters to dress like that in skin tight clothes that show too much of their physique, and what they have, and also can show what their, the front of their private parts look like. I have to put it like that because I'm trying to be mindful of what I say and follow YouTube's community guidelines. So I'm trying to just find clean ways that I can say certain things on here, just to be mindful of my viewers on here. But yeah, with that being said, we have to be just aware as parents of what our daughters are wearing when they dress in skin tight clothes, before they walk out the door, especially if the clothes are revealing. The reason why I say that is because, number one, boys and men are very visual, so it's easy for a girl or for a mother to say, oh, well, then boys and men need to control their eyes. I get it. But at the same time, we have to be realistic here. Boys and men are naturally visual creatures. And so the way they see us is not the same way that we women see them. How visual boys and men are is how mental we are. And so the way boys and men are stimulated is more on the physical level. Young girls and women, or should I say young teenage girls and women, are more stimulated on the mental level. So it's kind of reversed for boys and men and for girls and women. And so I say that to say that not only can the way a teenage girl carry herself, keep herself safe out here, but the way she dress can also keep her safe as well. And I also get it that in rare cases you will still have a young man or an older man still try to violate a teenage girl's or a young lady's boundaries because they lack self-control. I get it, but that's not in most cases. In most cases, young men and grown men would respect that young lady because of how she's dressing. Because make no mistake about it, how a young lady dresses, it speaks before she says anything. And so we as parents just have to keep that in mind when we let our daughters leave out the house wearing skin tight and revealing clothes. That's not a safe route for our daughters to take, for the simple fact that it invites unwanted attention, even if she subconsciously is not aware of it, and even if she's not trying to draw attention to herself. She just honestly just thinks that, what she has on is cute and she likes the way she looks in it. But we still want to teach our daughters early on to be mindful, because they're not just dressing for themselves, they're dressing for other people as well. Because again, young men And grown men, they are looking. They're going to look. We cannot control their eyes. They're going to look. That's what they naturally do. That is just something that we cannot take out of them. So they are going to look. And just to get biblical a little bit, because I do speak from a spiritual point of view in these videos, it's just the way I deliver it. I don't deliver my messages, in a way where I'm trying to convert people to becoming a Christian. But still in all, you will notice that at my core, I'm speaking from a spiritual point of view. It's just the way I present it. I just present it in a way to where, my spiritual foundation can be applied to, our daily lives. So, but I say that to say that, yes, a young lady's clothes speak before she says anything. And so when she steps foot out the house, oh, I'm sorry, y'all, I forgot to take one earphone out. I didn't even realize that. I was just going and going and going, just flowing and flowing and flowing. But I forgot to take one earphone out, and I forgot that, I do that because I try to be mindful of, my neighbors that live on the other side, because I don't want to say anything that could purposely step on somebody's toes, and I don't want to give off the impression that I'm trying to antagonize people. So yeah, so did not realize I had both earphones in my ear until I looked into the camera. But anyway, so our young lady's clothes speak before her mouth does. And so I say this to say that what a young lady has on, it tells a young man as well as a grown man, it gives off mixed signals. Not saying that grown men should be looking at a young lady anyways, but they do have some grown men that do look, if you know what I mean, at young ladies. And so that's more of a reason for a young lady, for us as parents to, sit our daughters down and just explain to them that while it's okay to dress cute, but you want to do so where it's appropriate before you step foot out the house, because boys and men are very visual, so they are going to look. That is just naturally what they do. And so if they see that you look attractive to them, they will stare. That's what men do. They're admiring your beauty, but at the same time, you don't want them to see, you don't want them to fully see circles and triangles, okay? Or should I say circles and a triangle, if you know what I mean. Because what I'm basically doing is I'm breaking down just how much men are visual creatures. When they look at a young lady or a woman, they see shapes. That's just how profound young men and grown men's visual parts of themselves are. They see shapes. So when they see circles and when they see triangle, basically it makes them, you know, burn with passion on the inside, okay? I'm going to put it that way, in a respectful way. So, with that being said, we as parents, it is important for us to, of course, have that conversation with our daughters in the most respectful way that we possibly can, but none of the less, we still should have it that way. Our daughters can feel comfortable when they are, going to the corner store, or if they're going to Walmart, wherever, even if they're just walking down the street in the neighborhood for, to pick up their little brother or sister off the bus, still and all, it's important that us parents have that conversation with our daughters on their dressing and their grooming, because we don't need no grown men trying to groom them. Okay? Also, we also want young men who are around their age to develop respect for them, and that starts with the way a young lady dresses. So, and just to go deeper, when we see our daughters who are in middle school and high school dressing in skin tight revealing clothes, we have to go beyond the surface level and evaluate how they feel about themselves on the inside. We have to actually get to the root cause of why why our daughters are dressing like that, or feeling the need to dress like that out in public. And side note, this young lady that I noticed wearing skin tight shorts that looked like you could ride a bicycle on or work out in, she was pulling them down too. No doubt because she didn't want them to rise up too high. Well, that's more of a reason for her to dress in more appropriate clothing, so that she wouldn't have to worry about constantly pulling, her shorts down so she won't show too much. It's for her own safety, and so she could feel comfortable, while she's out in public. With that being said, yes, we have to teach our daughters that boys and men are very visual. They are visual creatures. I cannot stress that enough. And that we want to teach our daughters to put most of their value into their minds and their hearts over their looks. Now, I'm not saying that they should neglect their looks, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't dress in clothing that will flatter their physique. Of course, nothing wrong with dressing in cute outfits, for as long as it's appropriate for their age, and as long as they are secure within themselves. Because most of the time when our daughters in middle school and high school are dressing in tight and revealing clothes, and they walk out the house like that, most of the time it's because they are looking for attention to validate how beautiful they are on the outside, instead of them already knowing that they're beautiful, because they look at themselves every day. So it's like they know what they see when they look in the mirror, but they're still looking for validation outside of themselves. And that right there, that's very dangerous. Why? Because then that can cause our daughters to go far and beyond, to the extreme, just to get validation from other people outside of them, whether it's from their friends or whether it's from young men. And that's what you call, you know, that's an even deeper issue that, you know, we as parents have to help our daughters navigate, because, you know, they're not mentally and emotionally and spiritually mature enough to know how to navigate their insecurity. So that's when we come in as parents and we sit them down and we don't you know, make them feel like they are being interrogated, because that will cause them to shut down. You know, we don't want to say things like, you know, oh, who you trying to impress, and we just want to be mindful of our words. We don't want to assume that our daughter is trying to link up with a young man and do things that both of them are not mentally, emotionally, and spiritually mature enough to tap into just yet. That's just for two grown people, a man and a woman, who are ready for marriage and to create a family within a healthy environment. But what we do want to do is, as parents, we do want to sit our daughters down and just sincerely ask questions as to why they feel the need to dress in skin tight and revealing clothes, so that we can get to the root cause of it, and so that we can be able to know how to help our daughters navigate through whatever is causing her to feel insecure and feel the need to have to look for outside validation that she is beautiful. But we also want to teach our daughters to put most of their value into their minds and their hearts, because that is what's going to help them mature into respectable, responsible, and healthy young women once they do reach that age where they're old enough to marry and create a family with a responsible and healthy man down the line. Because to be honest with you, truth be told, when our daughter or our daughters are out here dressing in skin tight and revealing clothes, yeah, it'll grab a young man's attention, but only for a short period of time. And this is what I mean. In his head, he's just going to be thinking on a physical level when he see that, versus if our daughters actually dress modest, meaning cover up a little bit more, then that leaves room for imagination for a lot of our young men out here to then wonder, okay, well, what type of person is she? You know, what are her interests? What are her hobbies? Is she nice? Does she respect people? Is she loud, or does she walk with a quiet spirit? How does she handle conflict? Is she rude? You know, just things like that. Then young men will begin to really want to or seek interest in who she is as a person, instead of seeking, you know, just one thing. Okay, I'll put it like that. So, and make no mistake about it, when a young man, it's something about a young lady that is covered up that actually makes a young man become even more attracted to her. and want to actually get to know her on a friendship level first. And when I tell you, and some people may not agree with me when I say this, but when I tell you in a situation like that, that would make a young man wait, if you know what I mean. Wait as long as he need to until she feels safe to allow him to have access to her body. Of course, within a pure arrangement of marriage when they are ready to create a family. That's the only safe route, to be honest with you, that I agree with above anything else. But it'll definitely when we sit our daughters down and we teach them about how to dress in a modest way, it'll also show others that she respects herself. She's confident in herself. She doesn't feel the need to have to, rely on too much of anything outside of herself in order to accept who she is. She accepts herself, flaws and all. And while she embraces, what she likes about herself, she'll also work on her flaws, without having to be so overly critical of herself and feeling the need to have to be perfect. And she also wouldn't seek to male validation from a lot of guys, just to feel good about herself, which will only give her a temporary dopamine hit. But then it's like, once it's gone in 5 minutes, then it's like you're going to be trying to chase that high again, versus a young lady who does dress with modesty, who is confident within herself and would only seek attention from one guy, one genuine guy that respects himself and that would respect her. So, but that's all I have to say on that. Of course, I would dive more into this at a later time, because this is definitely a complex topic that needs to be dissected, but that's just all I have for right now within the moment. And as always, y'all stay safe, y'all be blessed, and let's help our children grow into healthy, productive, and respectable young men and young women. They deserve it, and I actually would like to see that unfold. It's amazing to watch children grow, but let's watch them grow healthy. So, but that's all for today, and y'all stay tuned for more.